All right, guys, trying to explain this zone diet a little more in depth, so hopefully this stops some of the confusion that we're having here. So, this is our prescription right there: 7 grams of protein, 9 grams of carb, 1.5 grams of fat. We need all three of these, and that would equal one block, right? So that's what we want: 7 grams of protein, 9 grams of carbs, 1.5 grams of fat equals one block. Example for a one block meal: 1 egg, which is my protein, 1 cup of strawberries, which is my carbs, 3 almonds, which is my fat. Boom, that right there equals one block. If I was to do a 4 block meal, I would just times the 7 grams by 4, which would be 28 grams of protein. I need that. 4 times 9, 32 grams of carbs. 4 times 1.5, what is that? 6 grams of fat. There we go. That would be my 4 block meal prescription. Does that make sense? Or better yet, 4 eggs, 4 cups of strawberry, 12 almonds. There's my 4 blocks. Totals out to 40% carbs, 30% fat, 30% protein. So that is what we want. That is our zone prescription. It's just making sure that everything is balanced, right? It's in this 40-30-30 realm, which is what we want. We'll go over to show you how to figure out what these blocks are and everything like that. But that's what I want to see for the zone diet. So how do we figure out how many blocks we eat, right? We use this as a block, but how many blocks do we eat? So if we use this baseline prescription right here, my body fat percentage, with my body fat percentage, I can find my lean body mass. Then I can find my activity level, and then that gives me a number. So if you did the in-body thing, it told you your body fat percentage, and then you can kind of use that with this little thing we're going to show down here. So let's use this athlete, this made-up athlete that's 210 pounds, and they have 14% body fat. So if I know how much they weigh and I know their body fat, how do I figure out how many blocks to give them? Well, let's figure out how much of their body weight is lean body mass, right? Because that's what we need up here. We need to figure out that stuff. So 210 times 0.14, because that's their body fat, is 29 pounds. That's the number it gives me. So 210 times 0.14 equals 29. So that is how much weight, body weight, is fat, right? So then all I'm going to do is I'm going to minus 210, which is his body weight, minus his weight in fat, which is 29 pounds, and that gives me 181, and that's his lean body mass. So once again, if that athlete weighs 210 pounds, his body fat's 14%, so 210 times 0.14, because that's 14%, that equals to 29. 29 pounds is how much his body weight is in fat. So now I just minus his weight minus how much he weighs in fat, which is 29 pounds. That gives me his number, which is 181. That's his lean body mass. All right, well, we found out the lean body mass up here. So now we just need to figure out his activity level. So 0.7 could be the person who does 1 workout a day, and let's say they just sit at a desk. 0.8 to 0.85 is 2 workouts a day, or maybe they're the person that just does 1 workout a day, but they're on their feet a lot for their job. They're a nurse, they work construction, they're walking up, they're moving nonstop, something like that. That would be considered a 0.8 to a 0.85, right? They can still do 1 workout a day, but the rest of their day is pretty busy. 0.9 and 1.0, it's like 3 workouts or 4 workouts a day. Don't really have to worry about that, but it would be good if you were doing like a weekend competition and you're doing multiple workouts at a time. You can bump up how much food you eat so you don't kind of bonk during that competition when you want to perform really well. So those are just kind of like some numbers that can help you if you end up doing a competition. But most of us are going to be in the 0.7 to 0.8, 0.85, somewhere in there, depending on what your job is. So now we're just going to use that formula. So now that we figured out what our activity level is and we figured out what our lean body mass is from over here, we're just going to times those up and it's give us a number. So we use this same thing down here. So I found my lean body mass for that athlete, which was 181 pounds. So we're going to times it by 0.7. Let's say that athlete just does 1 workout a day and just sits at a desk. No big deal. So 181 times 0.7, that's going to give me a number. Then I'm going to divide that number, divide it by 7. And then it's going to equal 18 blocks. And you're asking me, why 7? That's because that's how many grams are in protein, and that's the conversion they use, right? So this could change. We could figure it out if this was an athlete who weighed 250 pounds and they had 20% body fat. You can still figure out that thing. It's going to give you the number for their fat, and then you would just do 250 pounds minus whatever their body weight is in fat. That gives you their lean body mass. You can use the same formula, and you can figure out how many blocks. Now, this is how many blocks per day. So 18 blocks per day for that athlete. So that would be a 4-block breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which would get them to 12 blocks, and 2 snacks that are each 3 blocks, which would get them to 18. And there we go. And that should be filling them pretty full. So that's how you figure that out. Now, if you did not do the InBody and you didn't figure out your body fat percentage, you're not screwed. We'll show you at the end of this where you can figure out your blocks and kind of go from there. Last couple questions we had. What is paleo zone? Well, paleo, like it says here, is no sugars, legumes, dairy, or grains. That's what paleo is. So a paleo zone meal means it's in the zone format. So it's balanced out like this, right? I got my protein, I got my carbs, and I got my fat. It's a 40-30-30, but it's just in the paleo format, meaning that there's not any grains, legumes, dairies, or sugar in my blocks. So this example right here, this egg, strawberries, and almonds, that would be a paleo zone meal. Why? Because if you look in there, there's no sugar, there's no legumes, there's no dairy, or there's no grains. So perfect. That's my zone paleo zone meal. Now, for example, if we switched it up and I still had my egg, my one egg, but instead of strawberries, I did, let's say, a piece of toast and then 3 almonds, that would not be paleo zone. And why is that? Because toast is a grain, and grain is what we want to avoid on that paleo diet. So that may still be a zone diet, maybe blocked out to be zone prescription, which is great, but it's not just going to be a paleo zone because I am eating those grains. So that's the difference between a zone diet and a paleo. Zone diet is basically if you're in the zone and it doesn't have any of these 4 things, the sugar, legumes, dairy, or grains, then it's paleo zone. If it's in the zone format right there, but it has some grains or it has a little bit of sugar or some legumes or dairy or whatever, then it's just a zone meal. No big deal. So that's the difference between the two. Second thing is, why is it not a lot of calories? And that's because people start to do this equation where they figure out how much protein they're eating, how many carbs, how many fat. They figure out how many calories it is, and then they wonder, well, I'm not eating that much at all. But what people forget is, let's take this example of that almond right there. Well, just because the almond is going to be considered our fat, there's still proteins in almond and there's still carbs in almonds. But we don't count them. We just count the fat because that's the most dense macronutrient out of those 3. So that's how we do it. Same thing with the egg. Does the egg have fat in it? Yes. Does the eggs have carbs? Maybe a little, but the most dense macronutrient in the egg is the protein. So that's why we count the protein. So even though it may look like you're not getting a lot of calories, you're still eating quite a few calories. Now, you will still lose weight because there's going to be clean eating, hopefully. Hopefully we're eating good stuff. But don't be scared when it may only add up to 1,000 calories and you're thinking you're starving yourself. Not the case. People just forget that almonds or eggs or whatever have multiple macronutrients in them. So that's where people get confused. And then the last question is, where do I find the zone blocks and how do I get the measurements? So if we, let me set this up right here. And we're going to use Tasha's phone here as our little example. Come on now. All right. So right here, if we just Google the zone diet CrossFit, it gives you a bunch of stuff right here. Okay. Now this meal plan was like from 04. So we're going to use this new one, this 2015 one. It's way better. So we're going to click on that. Boom. Zone paleo meals, or sorry, zone plan meals right there. So that's what we were going to use. Now, the beauty is this is on your phone. Now it explains everything about the zone here. And right here, it tells you what a block is, right? It tells you, hey, here's an example of a 4-block meal. This is what a block is. This is what it equates to, all that stuff. This, you can read that if you want more in depth, but right here, it kind of gives you a block prescription. So it tells you right here, all right, if I'm a small female, I'm going to have 10 total blocks, 2 for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and my snacks, right? If I'm a medium female, it's 11. If I'm a large female, it's 13, whatever, okay? That's a good way to do it if you don't know the body fat percentage. If you know your body fat percentage, it's going to be a little more accurate than this, but you can do it here. And what you can do is maybe you start out with 10, and if after, a week or so, 10 still feels like you're starving, then up it to 11. See how you feel with 11, or maybe up it to 12, something like that. You should be feeling pretty full here, but even if you're eating good, clean foods and you still feel hungry, then we need to up it up. Same thing if I'm a male, right? So you kind of it'll kind of let you know there. The other thing here is it tells me, right, how many blocks are in a food. So if I come here and let's say we look at protein, okay? I want to figure out if I'm going to have some beef, how many ounces? Well, it tells me right there, boom. 1 ounce of beef is 1 block. So if I want a 4-block meal, 4 ounces of beef gets to me in my 4 blocks of protein. Okay. Now that goes for anything we kind of eat here, right? There's a bunch of stuff here. Not only for the protein, if we scooch it over and we do our carbs, it tells you, boom, right there. There's all the carbs you want to eat. Okay. It tells you if they're raw, if you're going to cook them. It tells you combo items. It tells you the fats that we need to eat and how much of what we want to eat. It tells you the condiments. It tells you alcohol, snacks. It tells you grains and breads. It tells you fruit and fruit juice. tells you vegetables, right? So this is like your cheat sheet to figure out how much do I eat? How many blocks do I need? If I want to have a 4-block meal and I want some sweet potato, okay, well, if I get a big sweet potato here, one whole sweet potato is basically 3 blocks if it's 5 inches, right? So a third of a sweet potato is a block. So if I want to eat a whole sweet potato, that gives me 3 blocks, and then I need something else to finish my last block. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. And this is the cheat sheet. This is what me and Tasha use. This is what you figure out how much of everything is. And to make it easier, once I can find this on my phone, all I do is I bookmark it. So that way when I come here and I come to my bookmarked, oh, the zone diet, I can just click it on my phone. Boom, it comes right to this zone diet. All right, I want to have grapes. So how many grapes do I need, right? And then from here you can figure out, all right, oh, grapes, oh, perfect, half a cup gives me on my 1 block. All right, I want to have 2 blocks worth of grapes. So I'm going to have a total of 1 cup of grapes. That gives me 2 blocks. So that's kind of like a little cheat sheet that makes it easier. Now, after you do the cheat sheet, you can start to use some hand measurements. So it may tell you half a cup is 1 block, and I would just do the half a cup. I'll put it in my hand. How much does it look? How much does it fit into my palms? Maybe I do that for a couple days, and then I start to guesstimate with just my eyes. All right, it's about a handful of grapes is my block. Boom, I'm gonna do it that way. After a couple weeks, I may go back to measuring just to see how accurate my hand is, but that's just an easy way to do it. You may need this to start out to know, okay, 2 cups, but after a while, you can start to use your eyes as a measurement, and it just makes it so much quicker. So that's what we wanna see for the zone diet, and hopefully that kind of answered any of the questions that you guys had. You can comment below if you have some more questions. You can ask any of the coaches, but hopefully that kind of helps you guys start in the right direction for this. I know it may seem a little bit confusing, but I promise you, if you read that link we gave you on Tasha's phone, if you read it, it will make a lot more sense. I try to explain it well, but hopefully that makes a little more sense for you guys. And then from there, right, you can just use that conversion and you guys should be good to go. So hopefully you have fun. If you don't have any partners, let the coaches know. We'll get you squared away. Get your measurements and your pictures taken this week. And then, yeah, get ready to rock and roll. It should be good fun. Thanks, guys.